Hey, good morning, my friends, and happy Friday. I mean, look, whether you've had a week to remember or one you just rather forget, just know it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. So let me help send you into this weekend informed, sharp, and ready with today's show. So in the mix today, we've got a cabinet reshuffle that's got the DA fuming, fresh questions around transformation as Ramaphosa backs Starlink, and Sundowns exit the Club World Cup with their heads held high. Let's get into it. And kicking us off with current affairs, this one's a biggie. So you know those ministers who actually run the country? We've got the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Finance, and so forth. Well, collectively, they formed the cabinet. And this week, President Ramaphosa quietly kicked out one of the deputies, the DA's Andrew Whitfield, who was helping to oversee trade and industry. Now, reportedly, there was no reason given, no reshuffle announced, but this is a big move because while the ANC lost its majority in last year's election, it still dominates the cabinet, and Whitfield was one of the DA's only voices near these key economic decisions. And now he's gone, and ANC insiders reportedly say that this is just phase one, part of a broader shakeup that could see more positions reconfigured in the coming days and weeks. Now, as expected, the DA's already called an emergency meeting and they are furious because they held just 13% of the deputy roles within cabinet despite winning 30% of the country's votes. And now it's one less in a portfolio that they fought very hard to secure. And so, look, this isn't just a sacking, it's a signal. And the balance of power in the GNU just shifted. And next up, President Ramaphosa says there is a legal workaround for foreign companies like Starlink to operate in South Africa without handing over 30% of their ownership through our BEE laws. Instead, they can invest directly into local development through things like infrastructure and tech training. And we've discussed this kind of stuff before, but for the first time, Ramaphosa is calling it equity equivalence and says it fully aligns with our transformation laws. So now that clears the way for Starlink's 500 million rand plan to deliver free internet to 5,000 rural schools across the country, something that could shift digital access and education for entire communities. And look, that's great, but it also then begs the question, if foreign firms can trade equity for impact, why can't South African companies do the same? I mean, if transformation is the goal, does it matter then how it's delivered through shareholding, through employment, or through investing in rural infrastructure that thousands can use? Because as Ramaphosa said, it is equity equivalence and it falls within transformation laws. And on to our quickfire mentions, sticking with the Starlink theme, Lesotho just switched on Starlink nationwide, rolling out high-speed satellite internet across the country. This move puts it ahead of many larger economies in Africa when it comes to digital access and connectivity. And Cabinet has confirmed that South Africa is tackling that foot and mouth disease that's affecting our livestock with vaccine support from Botswana. Now, doses are being rolled out in 4 provinces with a second batch en route to help stop the livestock outbreak. And on to our finance section. South Africa just posted its first back-to-back primary budget surplus in 16 years, meaning that government collected more than it spent before paying interest on debt. Now that surplus came in at 48.9 billion rand for the year ending this year March, thanks to stronger tax collections across major categories. As a result, total revenue rose by 83.4 billion to 1.8 trillion rand. And look, it's a positive sign and one that Treasury says will help slow down how fast our debt is growing. But it does not mean that our country is in the clear. You see, our debt interest alone eats 22 cents for every rand spent, and the total amount that we owe is still climbing. So yes, we'll take the small win, but until we fix the debt monster, it's like celebrating that your monthly income covers your groceries, just not your growing credit card bill. And on to our quick fire mentions. Capitec has actually backed the Home Affairs move to raise digital ID verification fees from 15 cents to $10, saying it's essentially for fraud prevention. Now, interestingly enough, that puts them at direct odds with TymeBank, who have called this hike a crippling blow to low-income banking. And South Africa saw another 141 business closures in May, pushing this year's total past 620. And while most were voluntary, compulsory liquidations are also rising, suggesting deeper financial stress. Hey, but not all signs point down. You see, Canal Walk's owners say that demand for retail space remains strong, with tenants holding steady and new leases picking up, even as the bigger brands like Edgar's scale back. And onto our sports section. Mamelodi Sundowns are out of the Club World Cup, held to a goalless draw by Fluminense when only a win would have sent them through. And it's tough. They dominated the position, they played with intent, and they created chances, and they just still couldn't find the back of the net. And while it was a harsh exit, it was not a shameful one. Sundowns finished third in their group, 1 point behind the Brazilians and miles ahead of the rest of Africa. In the words of the coach, we leave much stronger than we arrived. And look, I get it, the fans are frustrated, and rightly so. The chances were there, the team should have gone further. But soccer's cruel that way. Sometimes you do everything right and it still slips away. Still though, you stick with your team on the bad days too, because in the end, this wasn't just a series of matches. It was a statement that South African soccer is growing, that Sundowns belong, and that next time, maybe that one goal changes everything for the better. And onto our quick fire mentions. Sia Khaleesi will captain the Boks against the Barbarians this weekend. But Rassie Erasmus says that he won't play every test this year, and hinted that a younger player might wear the armband soon. Fast bowler Nokia has been ruled out of the Proteas T20 series with a stress fracture. But there's good news too. Gerald Coetzee and Nandre Berger are both back from injury, and we have 4 players earning their first call-ups too. And Orbit College FC has sealed a promotion to the PSL after a dream run in the Monsepe Foundation Championship, while Cape Town City has been relegated. And before we continue, here is your Bagel Bite of the day. South Africa is home to some pretty epic animals, from the largest land mammal to the tallest to even the fastest. But we also host the largest fish in the world. Which of these holds that title? Is it A, the whale shark, B, the giant sunfish, or C, the manta ray? We'll give you the answer at the end of the next section. And on to our wildcard section. Parts of Cape Town looked like Venice this weekend, but without the gondolas. Roads were flooded, cars underwater, and entire communities swamped as a powerful cold front hit the Western Cape. Now, this storm brought days of relentless rain, strong winds, and a widespread flooding across the metro and beyond. Informal settlements like Nomzamo and Khayelitsha were hit very hard, with over 5,000 people now needing urgent help. The good thing is we got humanitarian groups delivering hot meals, blankets, and basic supplies. But the demand is growing. So conditions are expected to ease slightly, but many areas remain waterlogged. And so if you'd like to help, the city has set up drop-off points for non-perishables at fire stations in Constantia, Goodwood, Hout Bay, Lakeside, Roland Street, Strand, and Wynberg. And look, it's cold, it's wet, and it looks to be far from over, but the Cape Townians are rallying together, and it's awesome to see. And as for that Bagel Bite, the answer is the whale shark. Yeah, look, I know the name throws you, whales are mammals, but the whale shark is 100% fish. Just happens to be the size of a minibus. My friends, that's it for today's show, and yeah, that's it for the week. And look, it might be winter, but with the Boks kicking off their first game of the season tomorrow, let's dust off the bra and get back into the groove of things. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Cheers.